Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to RuckU News. Sorry I've been away, but back. About to head off for dinner as well. Lunch, actually. I get so excited. I get between lunch and dinner, it's all the same. With the great Willie John McBride, so I have to be on my best behaviour. So anyway, I had a quick scan while I was away, a bit of the news. Looking at the international stuff, I see New Zealand, Scotland. Graham Henry has been fairly succinct in his view on Scotland. They're shite. He's basically picked his second team. Well, there we go. Big surprise to all of us. I see Clive Woodward has said a few things. Cipriani should be captain. Disagree with that, I have to say. I think there's enough pressure on the young boy. Also, I don't think he's mature enough. He's a natural player, brilliant player. Not sure intellectually he's quite there yet. It will be, obviously, but maybe not yet. Also, he's had a few comments on Martin Johnson, and he says, you know, to manage England, you need to be a warrior and to be able to play chess. But that makes me wonder, so Jono, we know, is a warrior. Can he play chess? Who fucking knows? But the bit that interests me, so is Clive saying that Clive was a warrior? I think that's stretching it a wee bit, Clive. Saw that Tana Umaga, well, bit of a shocking news. The owner has said that if they go down, they get relegated, he leaves. But if they stay up, he stays. Wow, I bet that shocked Tana. Well, South Africa. I was being in South Africa, I saw that Terre Blanche has been speaking to a few of his former colleagues at Ospreys. I think he's been over there. Been a fucking interesting conversation. And Wales have really targeted this game. It was in one of the papers, the only paper in South Africa, but obviously in picture style. Not a lot of words in the paper, especially for the Dutch boys. So there's a lot of pictures. Terre Blanche gets in a plane. Big silver things flies in the sky over lots of land, some hills, some water. He lands at a place called Wales, Yes. Hills, men, sheep, all the usual, the old ones are the best. Anyway, depicts the whole thing, man. God's country, we've got to beat these Welsh boys. Oh, and yeah, so the Welsh are targeting it. I see Gethin Jenkins has said that they are 10 times more prepared than they were a year ago when they played them. I think a few interesting things for me. Ryan Jones been moved to 6. Interesting, it's that little psychological ploy from the management just to say to him, okay, you're captain, you might be good, but mate, no one is safe. If it is, it's a brave call to put Powell in there, number 8, going to be crucial. Personally, I have to say that I think even with the risk of playing Pienaar at 10, Bakkies is back with Matt Field. I think the South Africans have a little bit too much experience, a little bit too much power, and I think they'll beat Wales again. Fingers crossed. England, Pacific Islands. Jono, let's pick some young boys there. Armitage, Flutie, Kennedy, Monya. Some excitement there. I think the Pacific Island boys, big test. Let's remember, you know, some great players from Fiji, who beat Wales in the World Cup. At Tonga, they've got some good boys, and they'll be out for a few trophies. So it's going to be a big physical game. I think England will win it. But I think Jono, no-nonsense style, it's all about winning. And I think if you can get off to a winning start, then Australia, that'll be interesting. But yeah, so some new boys. And I just wanted to carry on. I know I told you the story about Martin Hines, but I'm talking about new boys. And there was one more story in the same season, which I thought you might enjoy. Because a couple of games later, he was rooming with John Oliver again, which should have been a bit of a warning bell to him. And we were playing the French over in Paris. And so he walks into the room one day, and Oliver is reading some smutty magazine, obviously. He's a little deviant. And Martin goes, oh, bloody hell, look at them girls, they're lovely, aren't they? And Oliver sort of goes, takes a twigs, he says, yeah, we get to meet some. In fact, this one, there's always a reception at the top of the Eiffel Tower for us boys. Martini put on a reception up there. On the Thursday evening, so all it's the only advantage, Hinesy, of being on the bench, because the team can't go. We'll go up there. I said, no, really? What, birds like that? You know, proper one with teeth. And Oliver says, yeah. So he's getting really excited all Thursday. And Thursday evening comes, and Oliver says, be down, because the coach goes 6 o'clock for the bench. All right, you know, when he's washing himself, his yearly annual wash in the shower. Washing off the coal dust. And he runs down, he's 6:05. No one's in the foyer, they're all hiding. But Oliver, being the canny little bastard that he was, got a taxi driver organised who spoke fluent English, briefed him, perfect. And Dick Best, assistant coach, was in on it as well. So Hinesy's running around, best bib and top, you know, time. Oh, Dick, I'm meant to be at this martini reception, the Eiffel Tower. And Dick said, you're late. For God's sake, Hinesy, you're late, you know. Right, well, see if there's a taxi outside. Hinesy went, there is one, you know. Pogo sticks out there, he's so excited. And Dick said, right, we'll jump in there, we'll reimburse you when you get back, take it to the Eiffel Tower. Great, thanks Dick, that's been really helpful. And so he jumps in the cab and says to the man, he heads off. And he goes, Monsieur, Eiffel Tower. Eiffel Tower, and the bloke's going, pardon? Eiffel, you know, big metal type thing, good as, you know, tall, really tall. And the bloke's going, pardon? Je ne sais pas. He comes out with all this stuff, and he drove around for about 15 minutes with Hines trying to explain, desperate, sweating. No, I've got to get to this reception, there's where's there, there's what? And eventually this bloke goes, no, pardon, je ne sais pas. He's giving out all this French stuff, keeping it dead straight. Eventually he turns back up at the hotel, and Hinesy is almost crying. And arrives back in the foyer like some madman. And all the boys are hiding around the corner. And Bess suddenly sees him and goes, Hinesy, what are you doing back? And at this time, and he sort of says, oh, Dick, I can't explain anything to this bloke. You know, he's French, isn't he? He don't understand English. I can't explain to my Eiffel Tower. And, you know, his pants are a mess, the whole lot. And eventually the sort of boys filter out. And Hines goes, hey, have you been? Have I missed it all? Are you back? What's it good? Well, they're lovely. You know, and the blokes pissing themselves laughing. Going, Hinesy, there was no reception. No, I know I didn't make reception, but did you go to the reception? And, oh, it took him, I think a day to get over that, and realise that yet again, little Oliver had done it. But anyway, fingers crossed for a great weekend, and fingers crossed that the Welsh and the Scots get stuff. See you next week.